Hello there. I'm a little bit sick right now, so I'm sorry if I sound like it. But I just kind of wanted to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal. So this morning at like 8 a.m. Eastern, Nintendo of America dropped their trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2. I say Nintendo of America, all the Nintendo accounts did, but I'm in America. So but the trailer dropped, and I was at school, and I just plugged in my earbuds and watched the trailer right there. Um, and I gotta say, I have some thoughts about this system. Um, like the original Switch, there are a lot of things that really need to be improved with the Switch 2. I personally, I feel like I'm more lenient with those problems of the original Switch, but, 8 years in at this point, it's pretty difficult to ignore some of these problems when I have now had access to systems like the Steam Deck and such and such. It's a little bit small, no. Granted, compared to the Switch Lite that I've been playing on recently, it's fine enough, but particularly the Joy-Cons, they're pretty small. They get really uncomfortable, especially if you're playing with just one. I'm usually fine with it if it's in the Joy-Con grip, but I can admit that they are a little bit smaller than they really should be. Of course, you have Joy-Con drift, things like that. But really, that kickstand, man, it is so flimsy and just inconsequential to the existence of the system. I really have no incentive to use it because whenever I try to, it just ends up falling off and breaking. So that's pretty cool. Specs-wise, I think the Switch is fine. It's decent enough for the games that are made for it, although especially later in the system's life, you can see that they're really trying to push the console past a point that it really can handle. So that's a problem. But what did the Nintendo Switch do to fix all of this? Alright, so just taking a first look at the console itself, you notice quite a few things. The tablet part of the Switch is bigger, obviously, as are the Joy-Cons. It's overall much larger. I would say visually it seems to be a little bit smaller than the Steam Deck, which actually for me is probably the perfect size. I find the Steam Deck to be a little bit large. It's comfortable and nice to play with, but it's pretty bulky. But yeah, the system seems to generally just be much larger than the original Switch, which, I'm sure will be great for a lot of people. 2 USB-C ports is something else that I noticed. I'm not sure if this is just going to be to make it more convenient to charge out of both ports, but I thought it was interesting. Maybe it could be used for controllers or other connections to the console, I don't know. But I'm sure we all know the main attraction here is really the Joy-Cons. So, the Joy-Cons don't slide on like they did with the original Switch. Instead, they seem to click in from the side, which I could honestly see being both really good and really bad. See, the thing is, I don't know about other people, but I got my Nintendo Switch when I was 10 and didn't care about my belongings, and if you look at it now, it is in really rough condition. The Joy-Con rails have a lot of trouble sometimes. It's just, it's just not great. It makes it difficult for me to connect my Joy-Cons to the system, which I think will probably be somewhat remedied by the new method, but also I feel like if the new method does break, it will be substantially worse than how it was with the Joy-Con rails. Let's see, so the sides are a little bit more protruded from the main Joy-Con, which I really like. I think it'll make it a lot more comfortable and viable to play with the Joy-Con on its side, even for single-player purposes, although I don't know why you would really choose to do that. But I just, I think you could. It seems there are extra buttons to the sides of the SL and SR buttons, which makes me think that they are standing in place of ZL and ZR, so that should make the individual Joy-Con an all-inclusive controller that has really all of the features that you would want, and if that's the case, that's great. Something else I heard about was an optical sensor on the side of the Joy-Con, which would make this scene with the Joy-Cons kind of sliding around on their sides make a lot more sense, because that kind of tells us it's gonna function like a mouse. Now I'm really excited about that. I think there's a lot that could be done with that. I mean, obviously, that's just, you have mouse support right there, but games like Mario Paint or something are now, possible contenders for things like Super Nintendo Online, or even a sequel or side mode in something. It'd be great for Mario Maker too. There's just a lot of possibilities. I think it'd be great for third-party games too, especially like The Sims would be to die for with the Joy-Con mouse. The biggest thing though about this thing, I mean, it's what you first see when looking at it, it's not very colorful. So this controller is just black with some small highlights that are the same as the colors of the original Switch. I think it looks nice. Granted, I typically prefer my Nintendo consoles to be a little bit more colorful, so part of me hopes that they have an edition that maintains the standard neon red and blue that the original had, kind of inverting the highlights with the rest of the Joy-Con. There are a lot of things about this system that I am apprehensive about, but I am very excited, don't get me wrong. It's a bit disappointing to me that the name is just Nintendo Switch 2. With Nintendo, they don't really tend to number their consoles like that, so I was kind of hoping for something a little more out there, but also, given what it is, you can't really call it something completely different from the Switch, and Nintendo Switch 2 is really the best way to accomplish that without giving it Wii U syndrome, so I get it. But this console is only half the story, because they also showed a little teaser for a new Mario Kart in that trailer, which I am super excited about. So what's a couple things that I noticed in this here trailer? A few characters. I'm not gonna go through them all, but I saw, obviously the main cast, Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, whatever. Donkey Kong looks weird. Mario kind of looks like a Super Mario RPG remake version, except more wonderized, I guess. And Luigi looks like N64 promotional art. But we have my girl Birdo. That's all I need to be happy. Now, something to be noticed here is the Wonder Seed, or at least what seems to be a Wonder Seed. It kind of makes me think that this game is going to be a lot more, or very inspired rather, by Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Which, I mean, makes sense. The art style is very reminiscent of that game. I just think it's interesting how they'll incorporate all of that into a Mario Kart. But perhaps the coolest thing to me is, it's a little bit hard to see, you might miss it on first sight, but there are 24 spots at the beginning of the race here, which I'm not sure if you've played Mario Kart. That means that there are going to be 24 racers on the track at any given time. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not sure how I feel about it being the standard. Part of me kind of hopes you have the option for like 12 and then 24 player races, kind of like how Smash for Wii U had the main Smash mode, but then you also had 8-player Smash, which was pretty much the same with a couple liberties taken. But I kind of understand if this game is supposed to be a big showcase of power for the console. I understand why you'd want to have 24 racers, just to show that your system is capable of doing that. I just think it's a pretty big commitment for the future, but we'll see kind of how they decide to go about that. So I am stoked for Mario Kart. I am stoked about this system as a whole. I'm kind of hoping that it comes out later this year, just so I have time to kind of save money for it and just be ready. Because since I graduate high school this year, I'm gonna have a lot of free time on my hands to just kind of play this console and enjoy it, so I want to get it as close to launch as I possibly can. There are a couple things that I'm really curious about, like, what will the title of the new Mario Kart be? I could see, like, Mario Kart 9, Mario Kart 10, Mario Kart X. There's a lot of numbering possibilities, but honestly, with the new direction that they're taking, I really wouldn't be surprised if they go for a more, like, a subtitle rather than a number. One idea that's been kind of floating around in my head was Mario Kart Wonderful GP, because how, you know, there's very clear inspiration from Wonder being taken in this game. But that's more so of, like, what I would want it to be called rather than an actual prediction. I'm also curious how they're going to handle box art, because, you know, as we can see in this trailer, the logo is still white on red. They aren't changing that at all. The only difference is that there's a big 2, which, you know, to the average parent buying a game for their child might be a little bit confusing. I mean, I trust adults to count. I'm not saying that they can't, but I just think having the same little red logo in the corner of every box, it's kind of hard to discern. So I'm feeling like they need to kind of change the formula for the box art just a little bit. It doesn't have to be radically different or anything, just different. Maybe, like, even just move the Nintendo Switch logo to another corner of the box or something, like they did with the 3DS bar being moved to the right of the box rather than the left. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to give my thoughts and feelings about the new console. I didn't really feel like filming anything, so that's why this is all voiceover with funny little pictures. If you have anything, I guess, that you would want to ask me or know my opinion of that I didn't really go into specific detail about, if you have any questions about something like that, yeah, go ahead and ask me in the comments below. But for now, that's it. Thanks for watching.